Hello and welcome to the second episode of the 50-50 podcast. I don't know why it's this 78 podcast.
No, it's around the 78.
That's
right. 78 podcast.
Today is June 30th. It's almost July. I hope
30th for short.
Yeah, I hope you guys.
Is there a 31st in this month?
Almost have a nice July 4th. In like 4 days. Anyways, so
on Wednesday.
2 weeks ago we talked about our influences in music, and we didn't really get a chance to talk about what I wanted to talk about prior, which is basically which is basically my inspiration for creating the 50-50 podcast and all that kind of stuff. So like I said last week, it was more so I wanted to be half casual conversation and half a topic, just for someone's sake.
Yeah, my sake.
Yeah, for that guy's sake, we're doing human nature today.
I thought we were playing Russian roulette. That's why you call it 50-50.
We are also doing that.
What?
Later. We're doing that. We're doing that off screen. All right.
Oh, damn it. What is today? Is it wholesome? Sorry.
Dude, we're all about the wholesome, right? We do wholesome streams every night.
Yeah,
wholesome.
Yeah.
I like booty.
Okay, so
God. See,
like I said, so the 50-50 podcast, there's actually a 50-50 podcast on iTunes.
Nice, but we're the better one. Oh,
right.
Wait, are we on iTunes? Is that what you're saying?
So what you're saying is that we're copyrighted?
No, we're not copyrighted.
Shut your damn mouth.
They literally, so mine is the number 50 and then the word 50.
That's how we get them.
That's where the half conversation and the half topic comes from. Anyways, the 50-50 on iTunes, they haven't updated their thing since like November of 2016.
Oh yeah,
amateurs.
Oh,
and there's only 4 episodes.
Yeah.
So we're halfway there, guys.
Once we have 5, we win.
Exactly.
That's it. We beat that.
Exactly.
That's how that works.
Let's challenge
their
them to
stuff was like
iTunes Shokugeki.
their stuff was like totally based on like storytelling.
Storytelling's so lame.
Yeah.
We tell
Who needs
stories.
that?
Who needs stories?
All you need is angry reacts.
It
That's all
reminds me
you
of this
need.
time at
That's
work,
all
you know,
you need.
where I was. I'm just kidding. I was about to tell a story.
This is one time.
Oh God.
Another reason why we do so, like I said, the regular conversation aspect of the 50-50 podcast. This is exactly why we do it on Saturdays, because it's the end of the week. We just want to chat for a little bit, get everyone comfortable into the conversation. As you can see, we're definitely all drinking. He's underage.
You're cut off, Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much Pepsi. You have diabetes now.
Why is the camera focused on your mic? Hello, do you see that?
Yeah.
That's so weird. It is what it is. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of human nature.
So, speaking of human nature. So, what did you guys do this week? You guys do anything interesting?
So I did some physics. Found out that physics is complete and utter nonsense.
What do you mean?
Like, it's basically like all the smartest people in the world just got together and started
You
imagining
can open it a little.
things. And they're like, yo, this makes sense. You imagine it too. And then that's how physics was born.
Well, wait, is physics, does that deal with math?
Yeah, it's like the mathematical explanation of everything.
No. So what I'm saying is, does it go from trigonometry to physics?
No, not necessarily. Because it's about how everything works, right?
Oh, hold on. My name is GamingJello. How are you guys doing?
How's it going?
Today we are joined by this is Jacob.
Not Christian. His fake name. No,
As you can see below,
First name.
as you can see under our videos, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm gonna do a little thing, right?
I
Right
just
there.
did it.
There.
Too.
So you see that it appeared out of nowhere.
It's gonna be my mouse.
That's the magic of editing.
My mic was on.
Are you eating it?
Yeah, I'm eating it. Organism.
Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Oh, my name is Malaman. At Super Malaman on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Alright, you're making it really hard in post production right now.
All those things on swooshin'. You're gonna be disappointed.
Oh god.
All right, yeah, but you know me. I do things.
It's tough to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really only use Twitter, so at Ilmos.
and your name is what?
Ilmos.
Okay.
The most ill.
Hi. No, just kidding. Yeah, I'm Arwen. AKA.
You don't have to
Arwen.
lean into the mic. It'll pick you up.
Okay. Hey,
You're fine.
how's it go?
You're
Hey.
gonna lean in anyway.
I know. Hey, how's it go? All right. Yeah, AKA Arwenism. At Arwenism.
You know what's funny? So Arwen was supposed to be in the podcast 2 weeks ago.
I was supposed to be in the podcast too.
Yeah.
That was 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks
This is
ago.
yesterday.
We posted our first podcast last week.
I do a lot of
I had to go look at apartments. That was
You're
fun.
moving?
We're thinking of buying one. So
big
like,
money.
Okay.
Big Mara
Big boy.
Okay.
Big Mar
Alright.
boys.
Okay, so I don't know if I mentioned it last week. I've been reading a book called Brain Hacks. Arwen is actually inside the book club that.
I'm in the book.
Well,
No,
it's
actually,
the book club
He is the
that we're having. We haven't had the book club because that book is terrible. All right, that book is.
Well, I don't want to say terrible. It's just
Not a good book.
you know a college
Repetitive?
essay.
Different.
It's like everything is the same thing, except it's explained in
Except-
different ways. So,
that's exactly
Let's
it.
talk about tomatoes
Don't get
again.
Exactly. That's that. Okay, so that's one of the
Don't get
the
Alzheimer's.
hacks. Literally says don't get Alzheimer's.
I'll try.
Literally.
my best.
That's good advice. Yeah, you're right. Brain hack.
Brain hack.
Brain
Don't
hack.
be stupid. Got him.
Take all your vitamins, yo.
Okay.
So one hack would say like, oh, take your
Oh, yeah.
B6. The next one would be like, oh, take your B vitamin. And I'm be like, why don't you just tell me to take my multivitamin?
Yeah, why don't you just take all the vitamins?
Yeah.
Take
What?
a ginkgo leaf.
I spent $15 on this book. You're gonna have me. You know what? All right. You know what? Just do your thing. All right. I respect you.
You wrote a book.
You published a book.
Hey,
all right.
I can't tell you
I
what
ate
to do,
tomato.
but here's a suggestion.
Maybe we eat a tomato.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, to be fair though, like, how often do you think about, hey, take your vitamins today?
Every day.
Every day.
Do you?
Every day.
You see my vitamins, right?
No.
Dude. It's like a half
Is it like
pound. It's like a half pound every
Oh,
day.
you're talking about that little
Christ.
pill box?
Yeah.
That looks like birth control.
It looks like it is birth control. One of them is. Yeah.
You just like random.
It's so healthy. I don't
I'm
want
not
to give
gonna lie.
my kids this.
I'm not gonna
much
lie.
help.
This Four Loko is getting me kind of tipsy right
Good,
now.
chug it.
All right, so I don't have a proper segue for the talk about human nature.
Just sing the song by Stevie
That's
Wonder.
human nature. Humans are terrible at segues.
So
Especially the mechanical ones.
what?
Rest in peace.
How exactly? Okay, how exactly do you guys define human nature? But here's the most interesting thing. Okay. Ever since I talked to Malachi, ever since I talked to Malachi about human nature, he's told me that there is no such thing as human nature. Why? Okay. When I talked to him, I was talking about oh, I wouldn't do something. Okay, I wouldn't, murder a guy. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. However, everyone is capable of doing this. So if there was such a thing, okay, if there was such a thing as human nature, right? Then I wouldn't be able to murder the guy. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so Malachi put this thought into my head. Okay, this is exactly why we're talking about the topic of human nature. Malachi put this thought in my head where I really don't believe there is such a thing as human nature. So, for example, okay, Aaron, you wouldn't cheat on your girl, right?
I wouldn't.
Right, exactly. Because you would say that
Excuse me, these.
Oh my god.
Just censor.
you wouldn't say like, oh, it's not in my nature, right, to do that. But the reality is, it is, because you're still capable of doing that. Does that make sense? That's exactly the thought that Malachi put into my head, and that's exactly why we're having this talk today. Because I want to know your thoughts. I want to know like what you think of it. I already know. I don't want to say I know everything about what Malachi thinks, but I think I have a kind of a good understanding, and depending on what he says today, I feel like I'm on his side just because of the fact that I don't believe that there is such a thing as human nature. You know what I mean?
I don't think there is human nature, although I do believe that it depends on the environment you're raised in. So based on morals and beliefs and superstitions and how your parents are and what they think is right, and it's them pretty much pushing their ideals on you while you're growing up.
This is true.
And then throughout time and your own experiences, you come across, then you develop your own, your sense of personality or your nature.
Okay.
Just because you have to deal with different circumstances than your ancestors, than your predecessors. So human nature, it's kind of a conundrum because it's human nature to believe that we don't have a nature.
I feel like when we talk about human nature in general, I think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So it's like humans, they naturally get hungry, they naturally get thirsty, and they need these things. So that's what I think of.
So what if so when you talk of human nature, are we talking like just like emotionally, our decisions, or are we talking about like physical things that, you know what I mean? Because as humans, we naturally get hungry. I mean, that's, we naturally get sleepy, this and this and that, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the reason I say that is because, honestly, when it comes to how people are, I personally think that it's all a social construct. Like
everything's
like morality and like all that shit. Like we make it up. Like we feel these emotions because that's what we're meant to feel. Like, oh, you did something bad, you should feel bad.
I partially disagree.
Yeah.
Well, at least on that last bit. Well, not entirely. So I do believe that every single thing that's kind of developed up to this point, we've been around for a really, really long time. Like some of the rules are pretty consistent, and these elements that keep arising over and over in civilizations all across history and time, they have similar rules and ideals. I mean, not everything is completely matched up, of course, because we are very situational. That's kind of what I was talking about before, what our initial conversation was about, is that human nature is fundamentally based off of the situation that you're in, in any situation,
any type of situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
How you're gonna respond. You have a certain general, capability to decide how you want to respond, and you might act in a certain way that you believe is right, and X and X and X. But that's all because of the society that you live within. That's all because of the way you were raised. The options that are available to you. All of that is way more important than your actual decision. You know what I mean? The world that you live in molds you more than who you believe you are. So basically what it comes down to is the fact that everything is a social construct. Yes.
So, okay. I want to know your thoughts. What exactly is your definition of a social construct? Okay. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, so basically, and what I was trying to get at before, the reason why these things keep popping up over and over and over again is because there are fundamental, like we're a social animal, right?
Right.
We rely on each other in order to thrive, right? No matter how much you might think, I'm alone or whatever, like you didn't build this house, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
A bunch of other people did. Like we're all working together to live, right? So there are rules, like killing people for one, like that's like everywhere that's bad. You know what I mean? There has to be some kind of mechanism, some kind of court or something. Like you can't just kill whoever you want in every society, because it's like, we all came up with that rule. You can, but there's punishments for it. And it's like, and that's because we realize that working together is important. Feeling safe is important. Like that's why we build communities.
Right.
All these things there are underlying truths.
Right.
What happens is these underlying truths, we don't know how to manifest them. We don't know how to name them. So we create social constructs to wrap around and define all these things that we understand to be true. Like stealing. Stealing is bad.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How did we know that stealing was bad? We just know, right? It doesn't feel good to be stolen from. So we wrote it down on a stone tablet. You know, thou shalt not steal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's jacked up. Don't do it. You know, keep your hands to yourself.
Something that isn't yours.
Yeah.
Don't steal my
Don't
diet.
steal
Don't
it.
take it. You can't have it. You know? And it's just like a basic rule. And that rule, everything else, like now we have all these laws. There's larceny and blah blah, all the other stuff that we've thrown on top of this to make it more complicated to fit all different situations and stuff. And that happens with everything. It happens with everything. It happens with romance. It happens with philosophy and politics. We have these general ideas. We're like, hey, we need to organize and do X and X and X. How are we going to do it? You know, and then we just start throwing all the constructs on top of it. So social construct doesn't invalidate something.
Right.
All it means is it's kind of like it's not the fundamental truth, right? Like political parties, they're not fundamental truths. Like Democrat and Republican, those are just names, you know?
Right.
Those are just names that represent a collection of ideas that are fundamentally true. You know what I mean? But the actual party itself, what a party is, all those things, those are all social constructs. Does that make sense? A social construct is how we frame things that we know to be true, right? Things, ideas that we understand. The frame that we put it in is a social construct.
Right. I had a conversation with my coworker about social constructs. You know, so I haven't felt it lately, but I have been depressed before, right? And I was talking to him like, do I feel depressed because of what I've seen in like movies and heard in songs? You know what I mean? Like, do I feel the way that I feel because of the fact that, oh, they're feeling sad? Do I feel that way because of that fact too? Because I've seen someone in the same situation as me, do I feel the same way because I've in a way experienced it, you know? And I kind of like categorized that as a social construct. You know, feeling the way that you feel because of the fact of what you have seen, you know, and what you have heard. You know what I mean?
Imagine if you didn't see it.
Would you still feel the same?
Exactly. That's exactly it. Would I still feel the same if I didn't watch that movie? 500 Days of Summer is my favorite movie of all time, no doubt.
And you're a romantic as
You know, and I am
20 times.
I love that movie. Yes.
20.
Arvin knows this. Like, I watched that movie. I would watch that movie all day. I would memorize lines, and he knows this. He knows this. You know, but that's because I put myself in the position that the main character was in. You know what I mean? And then because of the way that he felt, I was thinking to myself, okay, that's exactly how I'm feeling. So I should be feeling like this. You know what I mean? My question is, if someone, not me, okay? If someone was put into that position, you know what I mean? Would they still feel the same if they weren't? You know what? You know? Like, do you actually believe that what I felt at the time was a social construct? Okay? If what I felt, if I felt it, would it still be the same if it wasn't the norm, you know, if it wasn't in our nature, you know what I mean? Do you guys think that would be like an actual like issue, you know?
So for me, because of my job in the military, right? The best way to get people to like you is to be like them. So social constructs come from like-minded people, like-minded ideas and ideals and morals. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And it's just us as social creatures that want to mirror those emotions, those morals, and those ideals, and just to fit in with a social construct. Like, I think a lot of people are not comfortable being their own person. Like, what you're saying right now, you mirror those emotions, and you mirror those emotions of the people that, like, you see a little bit of yourself in somebody else. You automatically relate to them. Right. And that's like it's just habit. I mean, everybody in FTF, like, we could we all start becoming, we're all different people, but when we're all together, we're all like same interests, and we're just gravitated to each other because we're a social construct. We're all social
construct.
I'm dying.
But that's just my piece on it. Like we want to relate to other people. We want to relate to other humans.
Yeah, actually, that actually brings up a really good thought. So, Jacob, you just graduated high school, right? You just graduated high school. Congratulations, by the way.
I'm proud of you, son.
But do you think, your friends in high school, do you think that they were in that same position? Because adolescents, right? Adolescents, they feel very influenced about what they hear and what they see and the people around them, especially the older people. Do you believe that your friends felt a certain type of way because of the fact that everything is under a social construct?
This is actually intervention. This is not a podcast. No, I'm just joking. It's a joke.
I mean, I don't really know because my group of friends, we'll say something like, "Oh man, this is a good song," and then the next person will be like, "Shut the fuck up," and we're just like, it's kind of like Malachi kicking people in the chest.
Yeah, that's good.
And we expose each other, like we expose each other's like the person that on the inside of us to each other, and it's kind of like we don't need to say words, or we don't need to we just look at each other, and it's just like.
Is that because you guys know each other? You know?
Yeah. Because we all went to middle school together. We all stayed in high school together.
You all see each other's dicks.
Yep.
That's best friendship right there.
Sorry, I've seen Josh. Never mind. No.
It doesn't really, other than my close group of friends, like my not so close friends, I seen them change because like girls.
Yeah.
Like a girl would say like, "Oh, this is a good movie," and obviously if you like her, you'd be like,
"Yeah, I like that movie too." Yeah.
Purple looks good on you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Sherry did to me. That's why I wore purple.
Nice. First. Like what you're saying, especially about mimicking behavior, there's actually a whole philosophical theory. It's called mimetic desire. Like the only reason why we ever want anything is because we see other people want things, right? And we copy those desires.
Is it that they want things, or that they have the thing that seems like
valuable? Yeah. If someone else values something, then it shows you what to value. Like our values are a reflection of the values that we see other people value.
It might not even be just like what the value. It's the fact that somebody else is happy, and you're like, I want to be happy.
Yeah,
I want to feel good. Money makes that person happy.
Right. So in Jacob's group of friends, that feeling of because I've seen your Twitter, right? I've seen your Twitter. You want to follow his Twitter? Right there.
That's so funny.
I've seen the way that your friends talk to each other, and it's literally all about relationships. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this person is happy. I want that. I want this. I want that. And I think. Going back, I don't mean to stray too much about the topic of human nature because I feel like it
ties into it.
Yeah, it ties into it. But I feel like naturally that's how people are because of these social constructs that the media has put on top of us. The movies and the pop songs and all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure your generation, they're heavily influenced on
it's convenient too.
That's another thing too. I'm not trying to say that our generation or their generation is lazy, but the fact that we hear something or we see something on the internet, it doesn't have to be on the internet, but I'm just using that as an example. But the fact that we see something or hear something on the internet and we accept it as essentially truth, and we try to apply that to our own lives. And then going back to what Malachi says, something that someone else values that they have that we want, that puts us into a position where by nature we get like depressed, you know, and we get like sad because we don't have something that somebody else wants, or I mean, somebody else has, right? And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to be something material, you know. It can be love.
Yeah.
You know, it can be happiness.
It's usually ideas.
Right.
That's the thing. That's the thing. On a fundamental level, what ends up happening, right? Especially with the mass production of social media. And it's funny, if you open up a history book, this literally happens all the time. Maybe not on the level and the way that it is, but something will happen. Something will change in the society. Someone will do a play. Shakespeare will make a play about love and romance. Like our entire perspective of romance was invented, you know what I mean, for entertainment. And that whole thing changed the entire society. Everyone wanted that passionate love that you're willing to die for, and blah blah blah, and all these things. And before, it wasn't nearly as prevalent of an idea, you know. And now all of a sudden you have 10 billion people who all have the same type of goal, and it's like, okay, is that really compatible? Is that really something that every single person can have? So a lot of people end up not being able. They have an idea of what they want life to be, what they want their life to be, what they should have in their life, and what they should accomplish. And then when it doesn't happen, because that's life, they're depressed. They feel like they're missing something because their life isn't the way they imagined it to be.
Right. So imagine a world where everything resets. Okay? So we don't feel the way that we feel because of this or that, right? Let's say we see a movie that depicts breaking up with somebody as happiness, which it could be. It could be. Maybe you're in a bad relationship and you break up with somebody and then you're happy, you know? But let's just say that wasn't the case, right? Let's just say it was a not mutual. Let's just say it was one person's decision to break up with somebody else, okay? And they're happy about it, you know? Do you think that someone like I'm just gonna use me as an example. Someone like me could watch that movie, you know, and feel the same way if I broke up with like Jasmine. You know what I mean? And there were countless, you know, numbers and numbers, thousands of movies about breaking up with somebody and then being happy about it.
It's over!
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly. That's exactly
Thank
it.
God.
Do you think so my question is, do you think that would create that social construct, that human nature, that it's okay to feel this way, it's okay to feel happy when you break up with somebody? Or do you think that people will naturally feel like
Two things.
Okay.
The first one, right, is there's a huge thing in something called Hermetic philosophy that basically breaks down the fact that the biological, physical response to things, right, that's hard-coded in us, right? And then what we do as the thinking creature that we are is we frame it, right? So if you break down the feeling of being nervous and being excited, the chemicals in your body are identical, right? The only difference is how you frame those chemical reactions. You know what I mean? Like your heart starts racing. Right. But if you're next to a hot chick or something and you're like, oh, I'm nervous, right? But at the same time, if you're about to go down a slide, then you're like excited. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, this is gonna be so awesome. Biologically, it's the same. The only thing that's changed is how you're framing it, right? So I believe that there are some things that are hard coded in. Like when you break up with someone, what happens to you chemically, right, is you're no longer getting all the endorphins and the oxytocin and all these chemicals that you were getting from being intimate with someone. Now you're separated from basically a source of pleasurable chemicals, right? And you're suffering from withdrawal, essentially, right? So how you frame it, though, because we watch these movies, because we see all these things, I think my pin tweet right now is about how you can only behave in ways that you've seen, right? Every single person ever is literally role-playing an amalgamation of all the behaviors that they've witnessed in their life. You know what I mean? The way we walk, the way we talk, the way we articulate our vocabulary. That's why they always say you become the 5 friends that you spend the most time with, because that's how we operate. We are a mimicking animal, and we take it, we put our own spin on it, but you can't act in a way that is completely, like, you can't even imagine it unless you've seen it or some representation of it. You know, when they had, back in the day when they were having movies, right, and they would have these aspects of a man, you know, who would act a certain way, and he stuck his chest out and he smoked cigarettes and drank whiskey. Guess what most people did? Most people who wanted to be a man, who wanted to be, you know, that masculine, they wore suits and they stuck their chest out and they smoked cigarettes and they drank whiskey. And we do that because we can own, that's why having a good father figure in your life, having, you know, mentors and all these things are so important because you can only replicate behavior you've seen.
So do you think that, okay, so based just purely based on what you said, so and it kind of ties in with the fact of like human nature, like because chemically we feel this way, you know, based off of what Malachi said. Do you think that because of the things that we've seen and because of the things that we've heard, you know, does that actually play a part in how we feel? Does that make sense?
To be honest, like, honestly, like I said that twice. Listening to you try to make out that sentence gave me anxiety, and I was just like, based on what I've seen, I'm just like, I get nervous, man. Like, I'm like, what was he gonna say? Like, I really want to know now. But I get excited, like, framing it. Like, for example, skydiving, you know, people usually are like super nervous.
They're scared.
But then I'm like, oh man, dude, I'm amped. Right. But then, like, as soon as I look out the plane, I'm like, there's no ground. There's no ground, bro. Like,
you guys weren't joking.
He's like, this is clouds.
There's no ground there.
And I just pushed my face, like, oh my god, I can't feel like. But it was good because when I finally accepted that I was falling, then I was like, you know, like, a sense of euphoria. I'm just like, man, this is crazy. I'm doing it. Like, it's still, to this day, it's still surreal. But then now I'm kind of wondering, like, man, am I feeling this way because stuff like this, like experiencing surreal things like this, you know, like, it's from what I've seen.
There are fundamental truths, right? It's the same thing. Right. The chemicals in your brain are the fundamental truths. How you frame it, the social constructs that you place on top of those chemicals, that's your choice. You know, that's why it's so important to read and understand and learn all this stuff as much as you can, because at the end of the day, you're going to feel things, you're going to experience things, etc. But the only thing you have control over is how you frame it.
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to look at this?
That's good shit.
And that's why, like, movies and stuff, all that stuff is good and it's fun, it's entertaining. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's meant to be the most provocative and most dramatic and the most entertaining, right? It's not meant to be the most useful. So they're giving you a bunch of mental models that aren't useful. You know what I mean? They're meant to entertain and capture you and have you stuck, but they're not useful. You know? So in order to actually find useful, you know, mental models, in order to look at the world in a way and experience those chemicals and realize, you know, I'm not actually dying. You know, I can live without her.
Oh, we're all dying.
Yeah, well,
I'm just kidding.
You know, it's like I don't need to have a big house. You know, I don't need to have the job. You know, I don't need to have X and X and X. Like I can be happy without being happy is a choice. Right. You know, I don't need these X and X and X.
A big part of it was expectations, right? And that's how I frame things. Is I expect, you know, certain things. Like the biggest expectation that I had to crush lately was, and to get over my depression was, I'm a good person. Why are good things not happening to me? Right. So I had to crush that, and after that, I was like, well, this is what it is, and if I let it beat me, then what am I? Like, it's nothing.
You just reframe it.
Yeah. So the whole when I was depressed, I didn't see anybody emulate these emotions, or like I did not witness these emotions. I had these expectations that things should happen, good things should happen to me because of how you thought. Yeah. How you thought of yourself. So it was kind of like digging myself a hole, like even more, because I have these. Because I'm having that expectation that, well, this person says they love me, but they should be helping me out, or I'm way better at my job than the guy that's in charge of me.
Right.
But for some reason, he's still in charge. Why is this happening to me?
Right. Yeah.
So it was just me, like, one day at a time, crush that expectation, crush that frame, and just, like, you know what, things are gonna get better, and look at things in a new light where I'm just gonna get out of the army, you know? I'm just gonna go home and I'm just gonna enjoy my time.
Back home.
So, like, it's literally the way I viewed the world is what Malachi was talking about. And the only way to get out of it is you have to change your mindset.
Exactly.
And you have to do things that are new.
In the actual video, I will be cutting out some of this stuff.
Is this a reminder for yourself?
Oh my god, zoom in here, man.
This actually got me kind of super tipsy. All right,
Yeah, it's
Four
a Four-
Loco
that's a
is.
Four Loko.
I might be drunk.
Hey,
That's
All right.
That's meant for
Post
4
Augie.
people that are
Zoom
crazy.
in on my face. Alright.
Okay, zoom in on mine. I need to take these.
All of our social media stuff will be in the description. Please share this if you felt very invigorated by the conversation. But like I said, if you are feeling a certain type of way, especially about like suicide and all that kind of stuff, there are people that you can talk to. There are friends and family that you can talk to. Never keep it bottled up inside, because I know how that feels, and I know how much that affects your everyday life. It affects your work. It affects your entire lifestyle. Okay, so again, if you're feeling a type of way because of human nature or social constructs, please talk to somebody. Please, I implore you to talk to somebody. Okay, you can even talk to any one of us. Again, our social media stuff will be on the screen. And just send us a DM, send us anything, okay?
Booty pics.
Yeah, pick your person, but if you don't pick me, I'll hate you forever.
Yeah, podcasts are supposed to be this long.
Almost an hour. Yeah, almost an hour.
Did it get dark?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the shade.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, again, thank you so much for watching the 50/50 podcast, or if you listen to it, thank you very much for listening to it. I'm drunk. I'll see you guys later.
Au revoir.
Or listen to it.
Watch me on twitch.tv/GamingJello. I'll see you guys later.
For the